Hi everyone, we are the Wandering Chubbies and you must be following us on Facebook and Instagram, and now in this new year we have decided to start with our YouTube channel, so you'll find a lot of our content on YouTube now. To start this series, we start with our trip to the Dolomites in Italy. This video series will be a 3-part series where we walk you through the various picturesque locations of Dolomites and give you some tips on photographing and enjoying these places to the max. We went to the Dolomites in the summer of 2019 in June and July because of 2 reasons mainly. One, the weather is very good at this time of the year, and secondly, flowers. One can see beautiful flowers around the places, and that is absolutely beautiful view to enjoy. Another reason we went at this time of the year is because the Milky Way is visible in the sky, and at a good time of the night. I think it rises around at 10 o'clock and is visible till it sets till after a couple of hours. So that was mainly the reason why we chose this time of the year. Another good slot can be the autumn, where one can see the fall colors, but it's a bit risky because the weather is very unpredictable at this around the autumn period. We started our trip for the Dolomites from Munich. So if you are following us, you know that we live in Düsseldorf in Germany, and we decided to fly to Munich and then drive from Munich to Bolzano, a very small town in North Italy but is well connected and in the Dolomitic region, so that was a perfect starting point for us. The drive from Munich to Bolzano was around 3.5 hours. We started one morning, drove there, had some lunch before we started for the Dolomitic Experience. One point to note, however, is that Bolzano is the place where we also spend some time going through the Decathlon to buy some last minute camping stuff for us. So you might want to do that as well. From Bolzano we started our trip towards Lake Misurina. That was our first point of stopping, and the drive was around 2 hours. Enjoy the beautiful ride that we experienced through the mountains of North Italy. After 2 hours of drive, we reached Lake Misurina at around 2 p.m. The lighting condition was not ideal, but then it was an amazing view that mesmerized us. A bright silvery lake with a beautiful yellow house at the far side of it. We spent around half an hour at this place because there was not a lot of composition available, but then this one single picture was just amazing and we could not do without taking a picture of this. We spent around, as I said, 30 minutes in Lake Misurina before we went to Lake Antorno. Lake Antorno is very close to Misurina. I think the drive was around 20 minutes, and when we reached Antorno, I think it was an amazing experience because one could see these yellow flowers that I was mentioning a little before. It was all around this beautiful still lake, and one could see all the reflections of the different peaks around it. One peak that caught our attention was the Tre Cime or the Tre Cime. I think that's the German name for it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and one has a lot of compositions to play with the reflections, with the light and the clouds and everything. Make sure you bring a polarizer when you are shooting these lakes, especially Antorno, because the water is very still and you can get perfect reflections of the peaks, or maybe see through some of the rock that is under the surface of water. So here's our journey to the 2 lakes. the shoot at Lake Antorno, we headed towards Tre Cime di Lavaredo. This is a very famous mountain group in this region, and it's also known as Tre Cime in German, and I think it's literally translates to three peaks in English because of the three distinct peaks of the mountain. The drive from Lake Antorno was again around 20 to 30 minutes, but after parking the car, one has to make a hike of at least 1.5 hours to get a nice view of this peak. So we did this in the evening. The idea was to catch the sunset because this was a very good sunset location. However, as luck would have it, it started pouring down, and halfway up the mountain we had to trek down because of the heavy rain. But we did not want to give up, so we wanted to take another attempt the next morning. However, because of the hike, we had to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, which was a tad bit difficult, but that's what one has to do for photography. Anyway, so we woke up at 3 a.m. and I think we were starting our climb already at 3:45 to 4 a.m. so that we could catch the sunrise at 5:15. And I think it was one of the most fantastic mornings I've ever seen in all these years of photography. It was, of course, the sun was against us, but it lit up the peaks from behind us, and that was an amazing sight to take in. Ideally, I would recommend coming there for the sunset shoot, and also maybe stay over in one of the lodges up at the base of the peaks, because one can shoot Milky Way in the summertime. Maybe we will do that again next year, so if you want to join us, just drop us a message. First video, and we walked you through the Dolomites, part of the Dolomites through Lake Misurina, Lake Antorno, and the famous Tre Cime di Lavaredo. In the next video, we go to Lake Prias, Lake Tobiaccio, the Alpe di Siusi, and the Val di Funes region. So stay tuned. Till then, bye.